Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you have been here before, you do know that this is my series in which I am diving into a very specific, beautiful deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler, a magnificent tarot scholar and teacher and creator extraordinaire. And so every day I'm doing a one-card draw from that deck, and then I am using a different deck called the Light Seekers Tarot, very popular deck. I'm drawing 3 cards to help me dive in, or to perhaps give me hints or clues about the meaning of the card I drew from Tarot of the Holy Light, because the Tarot of the Holy Light is a different system from what I'm used to. So in studying this deck, I'm doing it in a very unique way, partially in accordance to the suggestions of Christine Payne-Towler, but also in accordance to my off-the-wall, hanged man in the moon kind of lifestyle. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling 3 Rider-Waite-Smith cards to help me understand the card from Tarot of the Holy Light. And then I go through my day, and at the end of the day, I look at the book for Tarot of the Holy Light, and I reflect on that card, the cards from the Tarot, the Light Seekers Tarot, and my day, and see how they match, how they might be in discord or whatever. So that's what we're doing. And today's card was the 7 of Pentacles reversed. This is the second reversed card in a row for me. This after 2 upright cards, I've now had 2 reversed. And this deck is designed to be used with reversals, just so you know. So that's what I'm doing. In doing my dive into this deck, I'm doing what the creator intended this deck to be used. I'm using the deck as I believe the creator intended it to be used. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is the card in reverse. And when I first looked at this card, let me not cover it up, I noticed a couple of things. I noticed the planetary symbols, the calendar here, the Eye of God here. But the first thing that really caught my eye were the seeds. And in an upright position, you would see that the tree is shedding seeds onto the ground, fertility, yeah, gifts of nature, gifts of abundance. Perhaps maybe you need, but let's not go there. Okay, so gifts of abundance. Here, the seeds are going up, like those opportunities are flying away. That was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this card. And also, the 7 of Pentacles. This is 7 of Discs, but the sister card in Rider-Waite-Smith would be the 7 of Pentacles, right? The 7 of Pentacles, upright, is the one waiting for things to ripen, waiting for the fruit to ripen, waiting for the harvest time to come, and also checking out how things are developing. Yeah, doing that analysis, perhaps looking for places that things might need to be pruned, might need to be weeded out as we wait for our investment to pay off. But in reverse in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, I would think of that as somebody who's not waiting, who's perhaps impatient, somebody who wants to get things done, wants to get it over with, wants to see the results, and might be a little bit impetuous or impatient. And so I was afraid that today would be a day of impatience or opportunities flying away from me. So I pulled my 3 cards, yeah? And let me show you the 3 cards from the Light Seekers Tarot right now. That gesture seems to have become my thing for this series, right? Right now. So you just saw that card right now, or those series of cards right now. And you saw that the first card, which is the card of significance. What is the significance of this card in its reversed position? So Lightseekers was telling me Two of Swords. So maybe not opportunities flying away, but the emphasis on the benefit of long-range vision, of looking out into the distance. As you see, we've got some of those symbols from Pamela Coleman-Smith's artwork here as well. We've got the globe here, we got the two wands, we got the person looking out into the distance, yeah, planning, designing. We've got a little design of a vehicle down here. So planning for things, looking into the distance, deciding where we want to go. Okay, so instead of actually focusing on what is actually growing right now, perhaps the idea was to look into the direction we're heading in. That kind of makes sense. The obstacle card was the Ten of Pentacles, a pentacle card, right? The obstacle was a pentacle, a Ten of Pentacles, which is legacy, it's family security, it's home, it's safety. So the obstacle to the vision and the planning is perhaps this in its shadow, which would be being perhaps too settled in what is already here. Yeah, you see this as a very comfortable looking family, and that could lead also to stagnation, right? It could become something that prevents us from moving forward because everything's good here, everything's fine here, I don't need to do anything else, I've got it all, I don't need to go forward. Yeah, so that could have been an obstacle for this. The advice was to go forward, move ahead, which I think is a Eurythmics song. The Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords. It's an intellectual card, it's a communication card, but it's also a card of adventure, leaping forward into perhaps the less known, but willing to take the chance to leap out and start an adventure. So, significance, planning, vision, advice, leap forward, make a move towards that adventure that's out there, and perhaps be careful of being too settled in what is already here. So that's what I was thinking about. And so then at the end of the day, I looked at the book, the brilliant book by Christine Payne-Towler. And the upright version of this card is something that reminds me a lot of what I think of the Eight of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Yeah, it's doing the tasks, doing the daily work on a repetitive basis and keeping your schedule, keeping things going, and the benefit of that it will eventually pay off. And sometimes the people who will be joining us in our daily tasks might not be the people that our ego wants, but they're the people that we need to get the tasks done. That's basically the gist that I get from the book of this in the upright version. Now, the reversed version is actually not so bad at first. So let me read little snippets of that right now. So here we have the reversal of the Seven of Discs. What do we have? This has to do with gaining humility and compassion for the little guy. So instead of going out there, doing the work ourselves, not that the upright meaning means doing it all alone, but rather than that, it's having the compassion for the little guy. In Pisces, Mercury learns a service ethic and comes to appreciate the wisdom of self-sacrifice. So rather than emphasizing doing the work, it's giving of oneself and having compassion for those who are doing the work, perhaps. Also, it's the emotional risk of feeling deeply, which is interesting for a discs card, right? But because it's in Pisces, we've got that water going, right? Water, Pisces feels deeply. And I've got Pisces in my moon. My moon is in Pisces. So the emotional risk of feeling deeply, because that can be risky, right? But it can also be that someone might take too many risks. Yeah, it's the farmer who takes risks, hoping it'll for a big payoff. But these, in the reverse, instead of doing the daily tasks, take a risk, expect a big payoff, and it's not going to happen. Which I guess is that idea of the opportunities flying away into the sky. It's instead of doing the daily routines, gambling. Very different things, right? And the gambles won't pay off. Flawed practices leading to a failure of enterprise. Can't admit when you've made a mistake. So, what does that mean for me today? What happened today? Well, today was a very quiet day, actually. We stayed on the ship. My mother was not in great shape because yesterday was a little bit too much for her. Too much in the sense of the food was too rich. We let her have some alcohol. And also her oxygen levels were a little bit low. So at the end of the day and today, this morning, she wasn't in great shape. She wasn't horrible. Yeah, she got up, she had breakfast, but she got tired very quickly, very easily, and needed a lot of sleep. We gave her oxygen through a machine. So after breakfast, after she took her nap, first by the pool, and then back down into her room, we hooked her up to her oxygen machine, and I sat there with her while her companion went off to have some time. So I sat there with her for the rest of the afternoon. She got up, checked her oxygen levels, good. Better than yesterday, actually. And she actually woke up a little bit more bright-eyed, and we went off to lunch, had lunch. She wanted to go shopping, so they went off. And I went back down to my room, and they came down when I was taking a nap, and they took a nap, and then we got ready for a dinner. And at the dinner, my mother was able to taste her food, was enjoying her food more than she did the night before. So I think the time today for her recuperating was very helpful and showed at the end of the day. Now, during all of this, I was with my mother for a while. So I guess that could have been that Pisces feeling deeply, having compassion for the mother guy instead of the other guy, the mother guy, and setting with her. That could have been it. I didn't know that at the time. There were a couple of problems with things around dinner time. One of them was, my mother has early stage dementia and she has diabetes. So we don't want to give her things like bread on the table because we don't want to feed her simple carbs because we want to keep her diabetes at a mild enough level so that she doesn't have to go into insulin shots, and she doesn't need them yet. And if we keep her diet well, she might not need them. So we want to keep a very limited amount of simple carbs like bread, pasta, potatoes, that kind of thing. So I asked them not to put bread on the table because she forgets. She doesn't remember why she can't have bread. And when she sees bread, she can't have bread, she gets upset. We don't want to do that. We want her to have a pleasant time at dinner. We want her to have fun, to enjoy herself. And seeing something she wants and not knowing why she can't have that upsets her. Makes sense, right? So we do that. So we get to the table, and then a waiter later comes up and sees there's no bread and says, "Oh, would you like bread?" My mother hears, "Bread? Yes, I want bread." And then so we have to distract her, try and tell the waiter, "Don't talk about bread anymore." We order her meal, and I asked them to substitute potatoes for green vegetables. So they are okay, all is well. They come out and bring up the food. They set it in front of my mother and say, and we are not giving you potatoes, we are doing this. And so my mother, I want potatoes. It's so defeating the purpose to some extent, right? So maybe that's what this was. That the intent was not, the plan was defeated in a way. Also, I had paid for last night's dinner, the gala dinner with special wines and all of that stuff, separately on my credit card, because I did not want those charges to show up on the room bill for my mother and her companion to see, because they were expensive and they would be upset. And guess what happened? The charges showed up on the room bill. So I had to go down and find out, why is the charge on the room bill? Why did that happen? I had done as much as I thought I could do to keep that from happening, so that I could keep this little secret for them, and it just blew up in my face today. So maybe that's what this was. Maybe that's what that was. On the other hand, remember this card? Before I read the book, I was thinking, okay, so the advice for today is this. So what do I do? After we'd gotten my mother settled, we gave her oxygen, and then we had lunch, and I sent her and her companion off for a fun-filled day afternoon in the shops or wherever they were going. I went back to my room, and I sat down and I rested, and I thought, Knight of Swords, adventure. Oh, this doesn't feel very adventurous. So what did I do? I got up and I thought, you know what? Tomorrow, what would be an adventurous thing? I can't do anything really adventurous today. What would be an adventurous thing? I remembered that tomorrow there are excursions. We're docking. And the excursions are all very far away. Yeah, we're docking in one place, and the excursions are mostly, 99% of them are going to Brazil. They're going to Berlin. And it's a long bus ride from us to Berlin and back. Almost all of the excursions from the ship tomorrow are 12 and a half hours, which is something my mother cannot do, and her companion really cannot do. So I thought, okay, the way I'm reading this advice for me for today is that I should go book my butt on an adventure tomorrow. So I went and I booked my butt on an adventure tomorrow. I'm on a car, a small group going to Berlin. We'll tour around and come back. It's a long journey. After I booked it, I checked with my mom and her companion. They said, yeah, I'd go off and do it. So I'm going off and doing it tomorrow. And hopefully this thing's not paying off. Hopefully that will end today, and that tomorrow's adventure will be fun. Hopefully. I also tried doing something else. I bought a pendulum, right? I think I uploaded a picture of my pendulum on Churro History on Facebook. So I decided to have an adventure and follow my pendulum around the ship, asking it where go up a floor, go down a floor, that kind of thing. It was interesting. It was fun. Not much came of it. But I didn't feel like I lost anything, you know. And so that was today. I guess I did do a little bit of service with my mom, and I have compassion for her, of course. I did as much service as I could at the restaurant as well. I talked to the people again after our meal to try and find a way that we could get this taken care of, so that when we have things eliminated from my mother's plate, the waiters don't remind her of what is missing. because she doesn't know what's missing if nobody says anything. And she thoroughly enjoys what is there when we give her healthful things that she can choose, if that makes sense. Yeah, we look at the things on the menu, we tell her the things that are possible for her. She chooses what she wants, so she gets that. She has her own, not authority. She has her own. What is that word? Where you're in charge of your life. Anyways, there's a word for that. Yeah, she can make her decisions, and then from that decision, we look again at that. We look see if there's anything that needs to be removed. If there's something there that needs to be removed, we ask them to leave it out and substitute other things. So all we want them to do is not tell them what's been removed. You know. So I talked to them, and I think we might have worked something out. Maybe we'll see to see if that working things out is the having compassion for the little guy side of this card, or the you're gambling and it's all going to go up into the sky, into smoke. We'll see what happens. So, friends, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Hit the like button if you're enjoying this series, or if this is your first time, be sure to subscribe and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I do one a day now for this month period of investigating this deck while on vacation. And again, comment below. I'd really love to hear from you. What do you think? If you want a reading from me, there's a link to my Instagram account. Click on that. You can hop over, send me a direct message there, and we can work out a way to get a reading for you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.